Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Can you guys hear me and see me okay? If you can, give me a thumbs up. Just want to make sure everything's working good so far. I can see that we have a couple of people online already. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Is everybody having a good Sunday so far? I hope so. I hope everybody's doing well. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Christopher. Good morning, Mark. How's it going so far? Everybody doing okay there in all the different areas of the world? Everybody's safe? Everybody's healthy? I hope so. Give me a thumbs up if everything's okay, guys. Sunday morning. I know it's not easy, but I guess now that they've closed everything on Sundays in my area, so no stores are open except for pharmacies. Nothing to do on Sunday, right? And plus today is like a very overcast day here, which means it's probably gonna rain. I was gonna take care of some things that I needed to do today, but now that it's gonna rain, we'll just have a lazy Sunday and enjoy it. Good morning, Keith. Thank you for joining me. Christopher, I'm glad you're enjoying that Donner build. I got your message with the Squire that you're working on there. And the Squires are great guitars to work on. For those of you who don't know, what Christopher is referring to is my Donner upgrade that I'm doing. I reviewed a Donner Strat not long ago, a couple weeks back, and it was an okay guitar. I got that guitar for my son, figuring I'd do some work on it and bring it up to par with some upgrades. So I started that project and I decided to video the work that I'm doing and share it with you guys. And so I already started that project. The first video in the series is just the teardown of the guitar, taking it apart so I can start working on it. Today I'm going to be posting the video of me working on the fretboard to get that fretboard up to par. I had to do quite a bit of work on it, but I do that on most of the guitars that I buy anyways. Cutting off my head here. Let me just lower my seat a little bit. I do that kind of work on most of the guitars that I end up buying. I do a fret level, I do a recrown. Most of the guitars that I get that are lower end definitely need fret work. The Donner was no different. So I did a fret level, I did a recrown and a polish. Took a lot of time, but I videotaped the whole thing. Can I still say videotape? It's not really tape anymore. I filmed the whole thing, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I know there's a lot of you out there that are interested in the geek aspect of doing guitar setup and maintenance and everything else. So I figured, it wouldn't be easy for me to do it because I'm not really set up to video on my bench, but I figured it would be cool for people that want to see what the process is. So if you guys like that kind of stuff, it's going to be out there. I actually did a lot of work, so I have already videotaped, again with the videotape, I've already videoed a couple of parts of that build. I don't want to give anything away yet, but it's coming along nicely. And I think it's going to be a cool guitar by the time I'm done with it. My son will surely appreciate it, I think. And I love doing that kind of stuff. Plus, it gives me something to stay busy with during the time where you're stuck inside, right? Good morning, Bruce. Good morning, Keith. Bruce, how are things in New York, man? I think I've heard that things are getting pretty hairy over there. I hope you're safe. And I hope your family and your friends are all safe. Mark, it's the best way to spend the Sunday. Just chill, drink coffee, enjoy the kids, and play your guitar. I'm drinking my coffee too, so cheers. So yeah, you guys saw the guitar I'm playing today. This is the Bacchus Universe, and it's a really nice guitar. As you can see, Les Paul style. Very different from my other Les Pauls. It's got a very thin neck back to front. So I guess it would be more like a Jimmy Page neck. Very thin. And I changed the pickups like I always do on my guitars. This guitar has the Porter Anthem pickups that I reviewed. There's a video on them as well. Great sounding pickups from Porter Pickups. If you're ever interested in grabbing some good quality pickups, they definitely make some nice stuff. So I just decided to break it out this morning. Now the thing is with this guitar, because the neck is really thin, I find that it actually shifts a lot. And so I find myself tuning a lot more with this guitar. Although I did change the nut for a bone nut. The original nut was a plastic nut. I upgraded the nut on it. Upgraded the pickups. Sounds great. Just a little bit more finicky with the neck. So Bruce, you have no Les Pauls in your collection. Well, it's not too late to start with that. You don't want to spend $2,000 on a Gibson. I understand that. There's a lot of alternatives out there that you don't have to spend $2,000 on if you like Gibsons. This one for sure is a nice one. Vintage makes some nice guitars. Very inexpensive. Harley Benton has some nice guitars that are very inexpensive. Tokai, Epiphone. There's a lot of choices, and of course if you buy used, then you have even more choices. So there's no real reason why you have to go with a Gibson. Tim wants to know what tool brand you would suggest for working on guitars without breaking the bank. Well, you'll see from my videos, Tim, that I don't have a lot of fancy tools. A lot of the tools that I have, I either put together myself, made some kind of tool that will actually do the job very inexpensively. Some tools you can't do without. You have to buy certain tools, and everybody seems to go to StewMac because they're the easiest to get, right? They're easy to find, and they have everything, but they're expensive. And so I don't usually buy anything from StewMac unless I really have to. But in terms of tools, I mean, in the past there was no StewMac, and everybody was basically just going to the hardware store and making what they needed. StewMac just basically made it simpler, and they build tools specifically for what you need, and so it's convenient, but it's expensive. You pay for that stuff. So the stuff that I use, I mean, I use general tools that I can get from any hardware store. My fret leveling, all you really need for fret leveling is a truly flat beam, right? So what's the best thing that I found is I just get a level. Levels are supposed to be 100% flat. So I use a level, and I put two-sided tape on it, and I tape my a strip of sandpaper on there, and I use that, and it works really, really well. As far as crowning tools, reshaping tools, I get those off of eBay most of the time. And if you watch my video, I'll show you the stuff that I use in there. Pretty basic stuff. It's not extremely expensive. The thing that I find is the most expensive is getting a good set of nut files if you're doing nut filing. You can't really skimp on that. You have to get something good, because otherwise, cutting a nut is very critical. You have to be pretty precise, and it's worthwhile spending money on that if you're doing it often. Except a good set of nut files is going to cost you over $200. Hey, Fat Philosopher, thank you for coming in today and joining us. I don't have patience for fret leveling. It's a labor of love, though. The thing with fret leveling, the leveling is fast. It's the sanding afterwards and the polishing that takes a long time. The video that I'm going to be posting today, this afternoon, you'll see. I mean, I've edited that video down. It was over, just the sanding part of it was over an hour and a half. So I fast forwarded all the parts where I'm doing a lot of sanding because it became very monotonous. I realized that after watching the video back. Nothing more boring than watching yourself sand for an hour and a half. But it's really essential to getting the frets polished the way you want. And if you do the steps properly, you really get great results. One thing I learned is that you can't skip steps. If you guys have ever tried this and done your own fret work, you'll understand what I mean. But at the end of it, you get like beautiful, glassy, polished frets. They feel wonderful. So don't underestimate the power of sanding, the importance of sanding. Somebody wants to know a bit about myself. If I'm married or divorced, I'm married. I'm not divorced yet, but if I keep on bringing guitars, probably will be soon. What do I do for a living? I'm actually, I'm a marketing director. That's my day job. But my real job is, wannabe rock star. Like you guys, I guess. Bruce says he uses a 12-inch level. Yeah, that's all you really need, Bruce. Honestly, a lot of people go crazy with that stuff, but you don't really have to. A lot of this stuff you can make yourself. I also made a very short a short sanding file. What I did is I just took a block of wood. I cut a file. Those 1-inch files that you can get with the very fine teeth, and I just epoxied it to the wood, and basically you can use that as a level. And it works really well as well. That's the kind of stuff they were using back in the day before StewMac came around. So, Keith says StewMac had a shipping box cardboard to mail a guitar in $99. StewMac is the company that everybody loves to hate, unfortunately. Hey, Quirky Hat, good morning. Got a couple of new faces today, which is great to see. Quirky Hat says, I have an MSc in marketing, but I never use it. Yeah, that's good. Maybe that's a good thing. Unfortunately, right now I'm unemployed because of the virus. Everything's shut down. So we'll see what happens when this is all over. I might have to get myself another job somewhere else. My dream job would be working for a guitar company. That would be fantastic. If unfortunately, there's not a lot of those around here, but any kind of guitar amplifier effects, some kind of company like that would be a great job for me to land. But I could keep dreaming, but unfortunately, there's not much choice around here, and I don't intend to move, so we'll take it as it comes. We'll see what happens. Bruce, you're cracking me up, man. Bruce says his wife said she would divorce him if he brought home any more guitars, so he brought 5 more. You're bad, Bruce, you're bad. So there's a question here. I saw a Strat copy where the trem cavity was cut out crooked. The trem springs touch the sides on the left. Can be fixed, or should the guitar be chucked? Everything could be fixed. The question is, how much is your time worth? And how much did you pay the thing? I mean, honestly, sometimes the time you spend working on something like that is a lot more expensive than just getting another body. I find if the trem strings touch the side on, it all depends. Is it the top portion? Could the claw be moved over? Otherwise, you would probably have to do some rooting on the inside, maybe with a Dremel, just to clear it if it's touching a little bit. Nobody's gonna see in there anyway, so it should be easy to fix. If you're handy with a router, you can probably route out just a little sliver and fix it. I would have to see it. It's hard to tell just by what you're telling me. I can't really visualize what you're saying. Corky Hat, I actually talked to our friend. He said no bueno. He says nothing's happening right now. So the answer is no, unfortunately. Fat Philosopher says my wife tells me she wants a divorce every month for the last 15 years. She's keeping you on your toes. Fat Philosopher wants to make his own company. I'm in. Let's do it. You know how many times I actually thought about that and just jumping into something like that. The thing is, I mean, the market for instruments and guitars is not very lucrative these days unless you're super big. Unfortunately, a lot of the young people don't necessarily, they don't really want to play guitar, unfortunately. So it would be a great thing. It would be fun. I don't know about the money part of it, though. Ian Wolf's in the house. He says he's new to the channel. First time in the live chat. Love your content. Wife has an MBA and is currently unemployed as well. Weird times. Yeah. It'll get better, Ian. It'll get better. Things will eventually blow over and get back to normal, I hope. But it'll definitely cause us to rethink how we do things. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's been long overdue. Somebody wants to know if this Bacchus is made in Japan. You know what? I don't think it is. There's nothing on the back of it that says where it's made. But I have a feeling this one is not a Japanese one. I think this is made somewhere else, but I don't really have the info, unfortunately. But I think it's the Universe series, so you can look it up, but I think it's not made in Japan. This might be a Chinese or Indonesian version. Still a great guitar, though. Paul says that the only thing missing in his collection is a 335 semi-type guitar found a Washburn HB35S blonde semi in excellent condition, 1999 Korea. Price new listed is $2,500. Paid $195. Man, what a deal. Paul, I'm jealous. dude, when you see deals like that, you gotta call me first. You gotta text me first. Let me check it out. You know, I gotta check it out for you first. Make sure that everything is good. You know, that guitar might not be good. I would have to take it off your hands. I'll give you $85 for it. Okay? I'm just kidding. That's a really good deal. Really good deal. I think you can't go wrong with a deal like that, man. Fat Philosopher's asking if anybody owns a Wolf guitar. I was looking at those guitars myself, actually, and trying to get one for a review. A little difficult to do, unfortunately. They look good. I was curious about them as well. See if they're any good. Christopher Thomas says that Christopher's wife is in the house, and she says that she tells him the same thing every time he says he ordered another guitar. He stopped telling me he ordered one. I get to be surprised when he is unboxing a new one. Okay, listen, I'm going to give you a secret, okay? If you guys want to bring in guitars without your wives freaking out, just buy guitars in the same color. And as long as they're the same color, they won't know the difference. No offense to anyone out there. So there's a lot of stuff on the list today. Have you guys been practicing? Now that you guys are in isolation, there's no excuse not to practice. So I've been trying to up my practicing game, spending a little bit more time on it. I'm actually even considering taking some courses online. Maybe some music courses and other things. I haven't found anything that I like so far. Things that are gonna be, you know, well documented, nicely laid out, and not too expensive. Unfortunately, the stuff that I've seen so far seems to be like the equivalent of what you can get on YouTube. So I haven't decided on which to go with. But I would like to structure the practicing time that I spend a little bit better, because if you're like me, you probably do exactly the same thing, where you're noodling for about 45 minutes on stuff you already know, and you're not really practicing. You're just rehashing things you can play. The idea behind practicing more effectively would be to actually practice things that you can't play, and nobody really likes to do that. So unfortunately, the mind automatically goes, and the fingers automatically go to stuff you already know how to play. So if you take something that you don't normally play, like for example maybe a jazz progression, if you don't play jazz, or something out of your normal playing habit, then you can actually expand your knowledge quicker that way. Like for example, I don't play any country. I don't play any country licks or anything like that. So if I would take something like that and try to work on it, that would be something that would expand the mind and the fingers and the muscle memory, and be able for you to actually expand your skills. So I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to get out of my comfort zone, specifically when practicing, and be more mindful also of the fretboard, instead of just noodling aimlessly. Just to pay attention of how things are put together, the notes and the structure behind them, and try and just make things a little bit more, how do I say it, more cranial, a thinking man playing guitar instead of just mindless playing. So I think that would be a good way to approach the lessons. I looked at the lessons that are offered on Udemy. I don't know if you guys ever tried any of those lessons, but they look like they have a lot of stuff there. But again, a lot of the courses seem pretty basic. So I'm just trying to find any place that has some good courses that you can actually sign up for. If you guys know of any that you've tried in the past that were good, let me know. little bit more advanced stuff, maybe not just beginner stuff. I've also considered spending some time learning piano because I really only play, well, I play guitar, I noodle on bass sometimes. I used to take drum lessons, but then I stopped after about a year and a half. And I really enjoy playing piano, but I suck at it. And I've never actually taken lessons. But I find that the piano is such a great instrument for composing because everything's like laid out there in front of you. Except my left hand, right hand coordination on piano sucks. So maybe I'll really get out of my comfort zone and take some lessons learning another instrument. Maybe that would be a good way of tackling something new and just expanding my horizons musically. Does any of you guys out there play a different instrument besides guitar? I know a lot of people do, and I think that's fantastic. Actually, I can honestly say that taking drum lessons was really great for my timing, and it really made me more aware of locking into the groove with the drummer after playing drums, and it allows you to kind of merge everything so you actually get tighter in with the other musicians that you play with. So if you haven't already done that, that's a great way of approaching it. I think when you sign up for like Berklee School of Music, that's MIT, not MIT, GIT, which is another music academy. They force you to learn other instruments as part of the curriculum. You have to do that. A lot of guitarists will play bass because, it's a natural extension, I guess. Hey Clay, better late than never. It's okay to be late. You're not punching the clock here, just joining in for a nice chat. Bruce plays keyboards too. Yeah, keyboards is great. I gotta really spend more time on that. I got a keyboard in the corner right over there. And I just turn it on from time to time and play it. But yeah, I know Tim Pierce. Great guitarist. Great session man. I might check out some of his courses, yeah. Singing playing acoustic guitar is not easy. That's true. A lot of people have trouble doing that. Just breaking the habit of playing guitar and singing at the same time. I can do it when I'm strumming chords relatively easily. I've gotten better at it over the years, but if you're playing something very like time-based where you're jumping around and you have to sing over that, it becomes more of a challenge. But if you practice long enough, it just becomes, you go into autopilot and you're able to do it without any trouble. Just keep practicing that. My wife plays 6 instruments. She can't really complain about guitars because I bought her a $3,500 Martin. Wow. Awesome. You're a keeper, man. You're a keeper. I'd love it if my wife would play an instrument. She doesn't at all. And it's too bad. It'd be cool to have your better half with the same interests as you have, musical instrument. I've been trying to get my kids into it. I have 3 kids. I tried my youngest daughter, or actually my first daughter, who's 21 now. I tried to get her into singing, took a couple of singing lessons. She dropped it. Got her into playing drums. Interested in guitar right now. So I'm basically throwing in my guitar and getting him started on that, but he doesn't seem to be too dedicated to the practicing side of things. So unless he breaks that habit, things are going to move rather slow. And my youngest daughter, I've been trying to get her into playing guitar, ukulele, acoustic guitar, piano, whatever sticks. But she doesn't seem to be. She seems to be too shy. It's this generation is funny because they're like, I suck, so I'm not gonna try it. But they don't understand. Like, you're gonna suck for sure. You're gonna suck at the beginning. You have to suck to get better. But it's like they don't want to. They don't want to try something unless they're already very good at it, which is strange. But I guess it's the mentality of this generation. Listen to me. I sound like an old man. So we have some trumpet players, we have some harmonica players, we have some bass players. What else? What about the singers? We don't have too many singers here. Huh. Interesting mix. Tony's in the house. Hey, Tony. And he wants to know what kind of FR speakers would I recommend for the Hotone Ampero. I was actually going to make a video of that. I probably, as soon as I get a chance, I'll probably shoot a video for you. And everybody else wondering about that. Basically, what I have in the house here is a head rush. It's right over here. You can't see it. It's what I'm playing through right now. I'm playing through my Ampero. I have a patch that I created, and I'm going through the Headrush 108. Works great, man. It's a great unit, and it really makes a difference when you're going through a multi-effects. I had to tweak all of my patches after I went through the Headrush because it is flat, right? And I didn't realize the difference that I was hearing when I was going through my headphones. And even though I was checking the sound out through my recording monitors, it still didn't. It wasn't as flat as what I'm getting out of the Headrush. So if you get a chance, get the Headrush. They have the 8-inch speaker and the 12-inch speaker one. And honestly, the 8-inch is super loud and it has a lot of bass. I wouldn't see any reason why you would have to go with the 12 unless you want even more bass. But I went with the 8-inch because it's smaller, it's lighter, it's easier to carry. Works well, man. Check it out. Clay's in Sudbury. How are things in Sudbury? Under control? Bruce says he's got 6 kids. No, is that Bruce that's saying that? Hold on a second. I'm mixing up my comments here. Please talk about static. My Strat crackles when I touch the strings and pickguard. Okay, that's a typical issue. Something's not grounded properly. So check the grounds on your wiring. Check to see that there's no wires touching, that everything is, you have the proper wires going to the back of the pots, everything's grounded. And that's often the case when that happens. If that's not the case, maybe you want to try some shielding. Sometimes what can also help is just making sure that you check all the solder joints, make sure you have no cold solder joints anywhere. It really is like a trial and error thing. You have to meticulously go through the wiring and see where the problem is, but usually it's a ground issue. Have I ever tried the Joyo DC delay? No, I haven't. I haven't tried the Joyo delay. I've tried, for cheap delays, I've tried the Donner Eternal Bind, this guy here, which is basically a replica of the TC Electronic Flashback. It's noisy. I noticed that it does introduce noise on certain effects loops that you use it with. So I kind of stopped using it for now. It has nice features on it though. It's got like everything from digital delay, analog delay, ping pong delay, pans, mods, reverse, and hold as well. So it's got nice features. It's not very expensive, but it is a little bit noisy depending on the amp that you're using it with. They're not all the same. Hey Kim, nice to see you in the house. How much does the bedroom player influence the guitar industry? I would think quite a lot actually, because I have a feeling that there's a lot more bedroom players out there than there are professionals. You know, I'm sure that for every like super expensive PRS or Gibson or Suhr guitar that they sell a lot more of the lower end guitars. It's kind of like the cycling industry if you think about it, right? Like, you know, you get guys that are buying super expensive racing bikes that are like $8,000, $10,000, but the majority of the bikes that are sold out there are sold from like stores like your local hardware store, you know, the cheap bikes, the Costco bikes. Fat Philosopher says, move away from the amp. Are you referring to the comment on the buzzing that's happening? I got an Obsidian harness for my Les Paul. Thanks for the video. It was super easy. William, glad to hear it, man. I like the system a lot. I'm super happy to go with the that system in my Les Paul instead of the standard pre-canned, I don't know what you would call it, what Gibson is putting in there right now to connect everything. The system that they're putting in is really made for them, you know that, right? It's really made to speed up production, but those little clips, although they seem convenient, they're really not, especially when you're trying to modify something and you have to find those little clips and you have to buy the little crimper to be able to put those clips on, which costs like $150. Really not worth it. I have another system coming in actually. I have another system coming in that I'm going to be doing a video for. It's from Matt Hatter. If you guys are into systems that do not require soldering, this system is similar to the Obsidian wire system in a sense, but it's not on a board. It's actually individual components. It's called the Matt Hatter DVDT3T system, which stands for dual volume, dual tone, and it's everything plugs in, and you can just, there's little screws that you can actually screw in to attach all the connections, and it's about $100. I'm actually going to put that into the Harley Benton Gold Top. I don't know if you saw the video I made recently. I actually upgraded the pickups on that guitar from the stock P90 pickups that I have right over here. The P90 pickups that I pulled out of the Donner Gold Top. And actually, I upgraded the pickups. The original pickups in that guitar were ceramic P90s, which actually don't sound bad at all. I mean, there wasn't a big reason for me to switch these out, except for the fact that I wanted to try something else just to see the difference for myself. So I ended up getting a set of Zangbucker pickups, and I have to apologize to David Plummer, because apparently I didn't know this, but although the name is Zang, Z-A-N-G Bucker, he says it's pronounced Jong Bucker, like rhymes with long, J-O-N-G. So I don't know how that works exactly. It's a little confusing for me, but he says it's pronounced Jong Bucker. So David Plummer supplied me with these P90 pickups that he winds that are actually great sounding pickups. And I put them into the P90 from Harley Benton to do a shootout. And at the end of the day, there wasn't a huge difference. But again, in the room, you can actually hear more of a difference between the pickups. It doesn't translate well in video, unfortunately, but what I heard was that the ceramic pickups were a little bit more harsh, not brittle sounding, but you know how ceramic pickups are a little bit more, they tend to have a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Harsh is not really what I want to say, but there's definitely a lot more, there was a lot more clarity with the Jungbuckers, and definitely some nicer top end, smoother top end, but some people like the aggressiveness of the ceramic pickups. So when I played them side by side, there wasn't a huge difference on the video, but playing it here in the room, I did definitely notice more of a difference, a better quality sound actually. But to be fair, I have to shoot another video where I'm playing those pickups through a different amplifier, because I only played it through a clean amplifier, and maybe when you play it through an amplifier on the verge of breakup, like maybe my Dirty Shirley, you'll probably understand what I'm saying and maybe hear it a little bit better. Long story short, so I basically also wanted to upgrade the electronics in the Harley Benton, because the pots on that guitar, the switch, pretty cheap, pretty much garbage. So you have to take it out. You have to take that stuff off. I didn't have anything available, so I decided to get the Mad Hatter system, put it into that guitar, so that you will actually hear more of a difference once I upgrade the electronics, I'm sure. So I wanted to do that and maybe shoot another video, maybe a before and after, so I can actually make you compare what the difference between using the stock electronics and the Mad Hatter system would be. So that's something I'm going to be working on as well. Coming up. Stay tuned for that. Oh, I got to let someone in. Just give me a second. My partner in crime is here. I gotta let her in, otherwise she whines at the door. Let me catch up on some of the chit chat that's been going by right over here. Yeah, the dryer sheet trick, that will work if you if it is a static issue. So if it's a Strat, this is going back to the question regarding, you know, a noise when you're touching your guitar, your pickups, or your pick guard. Sometimes you might get some noise. Sometimes it is due to static. So the trick that we're referring to here is if you take like a Bounty sheet that you would put in your dryer for making your clothes not staticky, and actually rub down the front of your guitar pickguard with it, it can get rid of some of the static buildup, and then the noise goes away when you touch it, when you touch your pickguard. I forgot about that trick. I've used it in the past. It works well. Christopher Thomas is asking about Iron Gear pickups. What do you want to know about the Iron Gear pickups? They have a lot of nice ones. The Donner is actually a NUX. You talking about this one? You're talking about the delay? You know, many of these companies like Donner, Joyo, NUX, they're all the same pedal, just rebranded. You do realize that, right? Rumblin' Man's in the house. Good morning. Speaking of cheap pedals, last time we were online, somebody asked that I look at getting a Moski Plexi M pedal. This is a like a $26 pedal. Well, I ordered one. It still hasn't arrived yet, so I'm gonna check it out and see what it gives in terms of results. I didn't really need another drive pedal. I have quite a few, but you know, you're always looking for the drive pedal, the cool one, for 26 bucks. I figured, what the hell. Ooh, my guitar's out of tune again. I gotta work on the tuning. I know how you guys are sticklers for tuning. Sometimes I have to say, sometimes I'll do a video and I know that there's something out of tune, there's a string that's out of tune, but I'm in the groove, I'm in the momentum, and I'm recording and I have everything set up, and I don't want to stop. And I know there's going to be a comment, there always is, and I know you guys have really good ears, and I understand that, you know, people will comment on things like that, but trust me, I hear it when it's out of tune. It's just sometimes I'm just like in it, and I just want to get through the recording and not have to start over again. I've been following his systems for over a year. I ordered a HSS system 1 year ago. He has just come out with a new SSS system finally. That's cool. That's cool. I didn't know they didn't have an SSS system. Those are big words. Those are big words, Paul. I'm going to write it down like I always do. Paul says that, and Paul's, his website is Stompbox Deals. So if you're interested in checking out some of his recommendations, check out Stompbox Deals. And he says that the best cheap delay, simple but high-end specs is the Tom's Line APE3 Pure Echo. Okay, let's see if he's gonna make me buy another pedal. APE. I'm writing it down, Paul. So Tom's Line APE3 Pure Echo. Are you sure? He says it's easily Strymon quality sound. Those are big words. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Like I said last time, I was actually pretty surprised when I was using my MXR analog delay, and I compared it to a really cheap delay pedal that I purchased, and I actually like the cheap one better. So that pedal is going to be on the chopping block again. It's the second time I buy and sell one of those. I have a question. I'm thinking about buying a Marshall JCM 200, or do you mean the 2000? TSL 601. Do you think the lead channel can sound metal? Well, today I gotta ask what kind of metal, right? There's so many types of metal today. But typically I wouldn't let, a lot of people will end up buying an amplifier hoping to get that metal sound right out of the box. You can get that metal sound using pedals EQ, and different types of effects, so that you don't have to necessarily just get an amplifier that only does metal. I always say it, like, if you're going to buy an amplifier, if you get something that can play clean, and then you can add your effects on top of it, you can pretty much get any sound that you want out of it. Like if you go with a Mesa Boogie, for example, some of the units that they have are great for all kinds of different types of sounds. And they do clean very well as well. You got to experiment with effects. Don't just be tied into your amplifier. Somebody's asking me what is my go-to amp. My go-to amp depends on what I'm playing. If I'm looking for snap, a nice, deep, rich, clean sound, the amps that I have here, I would go into my Fender Supersonic, into the clean channel. The guitar has a very lush, clean sound. I really like it a lot. Very similar to what you would find on a Deluxe, for example. So that would be my go-to for clean. If Edge of Breakup probably would be, well, Edge of Breakup to nice fat drive would be my Dirty Shirley from Friedman. The one that I'm playing less these days is the Brunetti Pleximan, which is basically a plexi circuit, modified plexi circuit, because it can do more than a normal plexi can. It also has a clean channel in it. But I haven't been playing that one as much lately. I don't know why. I guess the Dirty Shirley is sort of closer to what I'm looking for these days in terms of a nice breakup sound. It really sounds fat and warm. And obviously I'm playing with the Ampero today, and I can get a lot of sounds right out of that. Paul says the delay's $35. Paul, can you hook me up with one? I'm really I'm serious here. I'd like to try them out. Maybe you and I could work something out where I could try out some of those pedals that you recommend. I don't know. Email me later on and we can talk about it. Fat Philosopher says thrash is the only true metal. No gent then. What else do we have here? I'm an old fart, 67, 35 years ago. My guitar rig was 100 watt full Marshall stack bass rig, Ampeg SVT, 812 cab. Now he uses a Katana Mark II 100 monoprice 15 watt, Harty kickback 12, and happier than ever. That's Bruce Brooks that made that comment. And basically, Bruce, things are changing, man. You know, a lot of people can't play full volume anymore. It's just too loud. You know, I get a lot more playtime out of the Ampero because it's a lot more manageable and I can get a lot more sounds out of it than having to mic up a cabinet and play with that. So there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you get the sounds that you want. If you're dealing with a sound that encourages you to play, who cares where it's coming from, right? You know, when I play through the amps, they always sound glorious. I'm going to be honest. You know, like, they sound great. You need to move air to really get that breakup. And for somebody who hasn't played through a real amplifier, you might not know what I'm talking about. But when an amplifier is just cranked and the tubes are hot and you're playing it and you're getting that beautiful saturation and just natural feedback, it's awesome. You know, so it's... But that doesn't mean that you only have that tool in your toolbox, right? Ian's asking me that he's considering buying um, a Harley Benton after watching my video. Which one would I suggest? Well, I'm partial. I like the Fusion 2. I picked up I picked up the Telecaster version just to compare it. I like Telecasters a lot, and it would be nice. I thought it would be nice to have a Telecaster with humbuckers in it, just as something different. But the Harley Benton Fusion 2 is a nice guitar, man. I have some pickups coming. I'm gonna probably, you guys are gonna laugh at me, I know, because I can't stop swapping pickups. But I have another set of pickups coming in, which are probably gonna go into the Harley Benton Fusion 2, just to replace the stock pickups. And again, maybe there won't be that much of a difference in sound, but I'm gonna try it anyways. These pickups are coming from Jalen Guitar. I don't know if you actually know this company. They actually sell on Reverb a lot, and they actually can be contacted on Facebook, but they don't have a website, so it's a little bit difficult to contact them, to get a lot of information on their pickups. But basically, the pickup set that he's going to be sending me, that's going to go into the Harley Benton Fusion 2, is called his Origin set. This is a set that I guess was made popular by Al Estrada, who, if you guys know who Al is, he basically is currently playing guitar for David Lee Roth in Vegas, and he's basically stepping into Eddie Van Halen's shoes. He's an awesome player. He can get that Eddie Van Halen tone to the T. I'm not saying it's all because of the pickups, but I'm sure the pickups have something to do with it. So I have a set that he's winding for me coming my way. It's probably going to be here in a couple of weeks. And they're going to be humbuckers. They're going to be around 9 ohms, and they're going to be using Alnico 2 magnets. And I'm really curious to see what they're going to sound like. But I want to put them into the Harley Benton Fusion 2 because I was considering getting a set of Thornbucker pickups for the Harley Benton, because we all know, guys, there's no use, not paying attention to the elephant in the room. The Harley Benton guitar was basically made to replicate the Pete Thorn Suhr guitar, and in many aspects, I think they got a lot of the elements pretty close. Now, the pickups that are in there are Roswell pickups. They're the new versions of the Roswell pickups, and I think they sound good, but I just want to try another set in there, and I figured the Fusion 2 guitar could stand with maybe a set of these Origin pickups and see how they sound. Now, if they don't sound great in that guitar, maybe I'll put them into something else, but I definitely figured it would be cool to try something interesting, something a little bit different. So if you guys are curious on that, you stay tuned. In a couple of weeks, that should be something that I will put together for you guys. Thanks, bud. You too, man. Anyone here looking for an EVH pedal, private message me. It's like new. I'm in Ontario. Why do you want to sell it? Why do you want to sell that pedal? Adrian says he doesn't know why, but he hates modeling amps. I don't like modeling amps either, because I find that they're limited in the sense that the technology, once you have modeling technology in an amplifier, it could sound good, but eventually it gets old. It's kind of like, when you buy a digital camera or something like that. After a couple of years, it's been passed over with the new technology, and then they become hard to sell. I prefer to use a straight amp and just use effects pedals and stuff like that. And if I'm going to go the modeling route, I'll get a multi-effects unit. That's just my opinion. Quirky Cat, thanks for that comment. Yeah, I like to be prepared, man. I like to be prepared. So, how much do the Marshall and Orange? What's the question? I'm from Spain, and the Marshall and Orange are not very expensive. How much do they cost in the United States? The Mesa Boogies in Europe are way expensive. Well, I'm not in the States, I'm in Canada, and the Marshalls and Oranges, well, it depends which one you're referring to. There's some that are less expensive, but if you go with the hand-wired stuff, they're still pretty expensive. Orange amps, I think, if you're looking at the full-size amp, not the mini ones, you're looking at, I guess, they're getting close to, what, $2,000 now? Between 1,005 and 2,000, depending on the model. Somebody asked me if I tried the Dirty Shirley pedal. I didn't because I have the Dirty Shirley amp, so I don't really need the pedal. I've heard some sound samples of it. Sounds pretty cool. I don't know if it really gets close to the amplifier. I guess it depends what amplifier you're already playing it through. The modeling amps and the regular amps are getting closer. Fat Philosopher's saying that most pros these days can't tell tube amps apart from Kempers. If it's in a mix, especially, definitely, it's getting harder. By listening to it in a mix, it's very difficult. But I think if you're playing it, you can tell the difference. It's a lot more about the feel than the actual sound. So, I'm gonna try, just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna try to emulate with my Ampero. I'm gonna see if I can get a sound that sounds like the clean channel of my Fender Supersonic. It's not as easy as you think to get that kind of clean out of a multi-effects unit like the Kemper. I don't even know if it can do it, to be honest. But I thought it would be an interesting experiment if I can A/B the sounds and try and get something close to that amplifier that's right over there. Ooh, right over there. That amplifier. If I couldn't get that, and I would like to try with you an A/B experiment where I can be playing the Ampero and then playing that amplifier, and then you guys can tell me which one is which. I might not be able to get that much of a clean sound. It really has a nice full clean sound. If I can get it, I'm going to be impressed. The thing about the Ampero is that you can't necessarily go by the standard method of creating sounds. Like, you have to really go by your ears and not be focused on using a specific pedal to get a specific sound. You just have to be open to playing around with all of the parameters to basically hone in into the sound that you want. Like, you would think like a Marshall into a certain cabinet simulation, into a certain pedal simulation would be the way to get that sound. But in my experience with multi-effects, it's not always the case. You have to really tweak to be able to get the sound that you want out of the unit. So you can't limit yourself. Can't limit yourself to just the standard sounds. So I don't know if you guys heard, but Steve Vai is hosting a Facebook Q&A that's going to be coming up, a weekly session, and it's going to be happening Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if any of you are Steve Vai fans, you can tune in on that. Maybe ask him a couple of questions. Steve seems like a super nice guy, a little bit nerdy actually, as he gets older, but a little bit quirky. But he's an awesome player. The thing is, he never really plays when he's live, or somebody's asking questions. That's one thing I noticed about guitarists in general, is that they don't play; they just talk. I caught the tail end of Satriani's live broadcast that he was doing from his home the other day, and he was asking, he was basically talking and playing a little bit and answering some questions, and that was pretty cool to see. I really like the fact that these a lot of artists now are taking the time to actually reach out to their fans and do something a little bit more personal like that. So I don't know if you guys are interested in Steve Vai stuff, but I figured that would be cool. And I also learned that Gibson finally, temporarily anyway, closed down its facilities after the backlash that they got, where I mentioned that they were keeping their facilities open even with all of the COVID-19 stuff happening. While they were finally, the mayor, John Cooper, in the area finally ordered the companies that were non-essential to close down. So they actually closed down. And I think they, as a show of solidarity, I guess, or support, or whatever you want to call it, they offered all of the hourly employees there at Gibson $1,000 to help them through the rough times. Which maybe it's just extending that olive branch, or trying to make them look good after the bad publicity. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how many employees that actually represents. But I figured it's the least that they could do. I mean, you don't put your employees at risk. So I'm glad to see that they're taking some steps there, but it seems like they're still not learning. Every time they do something, they hit the wall, and what can you do, right? It's money over profits over people, I guess. I've also seen that right now, anyway, Gibson TV on YouTube is giving away a free Epiphone guitar every day of the week. They're doing a little session there, and you can tune in and sign up for that if you're interested in maybe the possibility of winning one of the new Epiphone guitars. So if any of you are looking at maybe getting a Les Paul style guitar, maybe you could win one instead. I know there's a lot of talk. There was some talk just now about Telecasters, and I also noticed that Godin unveiled its Stadium HT, which is a Telecaster style guitar, and it's only retailing for about $649. It looks pretty nice. It looks like they're trying to introduce more Tele style guitars. The only thing I don't like about that guitar, if you look at it, look at some pictures, is that the plate that the Telecaster always has a plate around the knobs and the switch. Well, they put the output jack, instead of being here, they put it in the front, which that's a mistake. I don't know if they did that just to cut costs and to make it easier for assembly, but nah, I don't like the jack in the front, man. Fender, you can get away with it because it's at an angle, it's out of the way. But if it's coming out the front like this, I don't like that. Even my 335 that has the jack coming out in the front bothers me. It's just awkward. I don't know why they would do that. So a lot of people like the Katanas, and it's kind of a love-hate relationship with the Katanas. I mean, they do sound good overall. They're not that expensive, which is great. So for a lot of bedroom players, it's cool. You do have some modeling in there as well. But I think it's mostly a stepping stone to something else. I guess if you're on a budget and you don't want to spend too much money and you don't need that much volume and maybe you're not playing live, then the Katana would be cool to use. Don't forget, guys, there's also the PV Bandit that sounds great. It's a tube amplifier, not too expensive. You can get them used for like... Paul says that a tornado went through a section of Nashville 4 weeks ago, and many guys got their guitars Gibsons replaced, all of them for free. Yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that, but from what I read, they were not necessarily replacing them with Gibsons. They were replacing them with a guitar, and you know what? I think it was more of a publicity stunt than anything else, Paul. Because honestly, when you lost everything in a tornado, including your home and your belongings, the least of your worries is your guitar. And I think it was just Gibson's way of just showing that, you know, they're helping out. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I don't know if it really came from the heart or from the marketing guy in the corner's office. I'm just saying that because I'm a marketing guy. I know how it works. The 45-degree angled plug is a must if you have any guitar with the jack, the output jack on the front of your guitar. I agree. Christopher Thomas had a Katana and he said he traded it right away. Way too hard to use. Wow. If you find that hard to use, Christopher, you're gonna hate the. I had a Mesa Boogie, Mesa Boogie Mark III, which had a 2 channels, a whole bunch of push-pull pots in the front of it, and you had to do a combination of things to jump the channels and everything, and it was a nightmare. That was complicated. Mesa has a tendency to make things complicated a little bit. With they've been slowly simplifying their layouts, but there's a lot of buttons, a lot of switches, a lot of push-pull pots on their guitar, on their amplifier designs in general. The simplest one that I ever owned, and one of my favorites still today, of the Mesa amps was the Electrodyne, which was basically kind of their take on, I guess, a Marshall circuit, but it was really fat. It was a really great sounding amplifier. If you can get one these days, grab it. It's a great amplifier, a lot of bottom end to it. But the only thing I didn't like about that particular amp was that you couldn't get spanky. The sound was really focused in the lower mids. I'm trying to play with my fingers. So somebody wants to know if I have any PRS guitars. Of course I do, and I have 2. I have a semi-hollow body that you've seen on my videos, I'm sure. If you want to see those, I have reviews on it, on that particular guitar. Zakk Wylde model. Great guitar. Love it. Chunky neck. And I also have a US made PRS guitar as well. Also, I have a review on that guitar. I did a shootout of that guitar against an SE as well. And you might be surprised if you check out those videos which one actually won. Check it out. Have I ever tried a D'Angelico SS? No, I haven't. A lot of people mention those guitars. They look interesting, but I have never had an opportunity to try one. Maybe one day I will. Any feedback on the PRS Custom 24 SE with the Floyd Rose? I like a lot of the PRS guitars. The SEs are great. I think you can definitely get your money's worth, especially if you buy used. I'm not crazy about Floyd Roses myself. I just find they complicate matters, and they actually in my opinion, steel tone from the guitar. Hey Bob, nice to see you made it. Welcome, welcome. It's good to see everybody online. Yeah, Zach Myers has a model, a PRS guitar. It's great, semi-hollow. It's nice, really nice. Customer service is the key to any kind of guitar company, any kind of company at all. Customer service. If you don't have proper customer service, man, forget it. I have to say, I'm gonna sound like I'm bitching, but TC Electronic, very, very difficult to get anybody on the phone. You have to go through emails. You have to go through this weird system that they have. Not very user friendly at all. And honestly, it was a turn off. I didn't realize this. But if I would have known that this is the system that they have, I definitely would have not. I'm not too crazy. I basically, at this point, I removed the star from my opinion of their stuff just because of the customer service. You know, I had to ask questions about my Dirty Shirley when I was looking at something on the amplifier, the one over here, and I called the Friedman shop. And I got somebody right away. The guy I was talking to relayed my question while he was on the phone to Dave, who was standing like right beside him. Excuse me. And I got the answers right away. Like I was blown away by that, you know, just being able to do that. Same thing with my Suhr guitar. I have a Suhr guitar. I went on a forum. And I basically was communicating directly with the president of the company himself. You know, he was giving me feedback right off the bat. He was answering my questions. I mean, try and get that kind of service from Fender or from Gibson. Forget it. The guy I spoke to at Fender, I had a question about a guitar that I had, and I had to. And it sounded like I was bothering him when I called him. This was a customer service guy. Come on, man. You can't treat your customers like that. No, it's not Zach Wild, Fat Philosopher. It's Zach Myers. As far as I know, Zach Wild doesn't have any PRS signature guitar. Dave Friedman will respond to emails always. Yeah, I mean, and he's a busy guy, especially now. His business has taken off. He's the man. He's the man to go to if you want a good sounding amp. So, I'm actually very pleased to see that he's still putting the customer up front. I don't know if you guys saw my crazy little video that I made about the ultrasonic cleaner, but it was kind of fun to do. I tried it out on my bridge, and I have the bridge here someplace. Where did I put it? Here it is. I threw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and it actually came out quite nice, man. Look at this. I don't know if you can see. It took the grime right off of it. Who knew? So all this time I've been using the old toothbrush technique and taking everything apart and spending time. I could have just thrown it in there and cleaned it with a little bit of dishwashing soap, and it works really great. So I'm pretty happy about that. I'm going to be trying it on some other stuff as well. You just have to be careful what you throw in there, guys, because obviously if it's going to be something that will rust, you want to make sure that you dry it off properly and lubricate everything, or else you'll be stuck with rusty rusty screws, and you don't want that, right? But I was quite impressed. What's the Dirty Shirley sell for? Good question. Today, I'm not actually sure what the Dirty Shirley sells for. Let's see if we can find that out. When I picked it up, I bought it used, so it was a lot less expensive. And I'm glad I bought it used because, as I mentioned, you have to almost like sell a kidney to be able to buy one of these Friedman amplifiers or guitars these days. So if we go to Friedman amplification here and we look at the pricing, I don't know if they've gone up or down. And I don't know even know if they have them listed, their prices listed here. No, you got to go through the dealer channel to find out the price. So let's go through Sweetwater, see what kind of prices. And this is the full-sized one. I'm not quoting you on the minis. So the full-sized one says that it's $2,499, and it's they currently have a $200 price drop. So that's US, and obviously you have to add taxes to that. But you can buy it for $105 a month. Not bad, not bad. 0% interest for 24 months. Not bad at all. You know what, man? The amplifier is worth it, honestly. I know it's expensive, but it's a great amplifier. Fox Guitars Rock says ultrasonic is the way to go. Lots of guys I know reload ammunition, so they already have a cleaner. So what would they're using the cleaner for their guns, for the parts in the guns. The 20-watt Friedman sells for $1,500. Yeah. So maybe you don't need 40 watts. 40 is loud, man. I don't usually play the 40 watt loud in the house. It's just too loud. So for home, maybe the 20 is sufficient. Adrian says he saw the Soldanos at NAMM and he likes them. Also very expensive guitars. How's a clean channel from the Dirty Shirley? Actually, the clean channel is never 100% clean. You're not going to get like a Fender clean out of it. It's always going to be like on the edge of breakup. But if you dial back your guitar volume, you crank it up and dial the volume back, you can get a really nice sound out of it. It's not going to be a Fender clean, but it's going to be, let's say, a Friedman clean. I like it a lot. It has a lot of character to it. I never actually made a video of that amplifier, you know that? An actual playthrough. I gotta do that. I have to do that soon. Thing is, I mean, it's been around for a while, so there's a lot of videos on it already. I don't know if it's worthwhile for me to make a video on it. Tim says, there's a comment here. Phil McKnight, great guy, by the way. Both love Kiesel guitars, but they get free access, etc. Ergo, the positive feedback. They are quite good versus expensive for what you get. The thing is, you know, you guys are right. There's comments going back and forth about, you know, Tim says getting sent free guitars does bring in the influence factor for sure. But if anybody's really honest and you're getting sent stuff, I mean, if the stuff is no good, you can't really live with yourself if you say it's good. You have to kind of, you present the product, you do a review, and basically you let people decide whether it's good or not. You don't have to necessarily say anything, right? Just present it. Show them what it does. When you're hyping stuff up a little bit too much, I mean, at the end of the day, I know you're not going to say negative things about products that you will sell. Like if you look at Anderton's videos, everything that they show is good, right? I've rarely seen them say that something's not good that they're reviewing, because it's a store. They're selling that stuff. What do you expect them to say? They do make great entertaining videos, however. I like watching them. I like watching their stuff. I wish I was at the point where I can get everything for free, but unfortunately that's not how it works. And I buy my stuff, and that's why you don't see that many new things all the time, because it's expensive. But I try to present my reviews in a way where I'm giving a little bit more of an insight on the stuff, and it's not just a quick buy this type of review that you're getting from Marshall. Not Marshall, am I saying? When you're getting from Gibson, and Gibson's the same way, right? Obviously, they want to sell guitars. That's why I prefer watching independent reviews more than anything, because that's where you're going to get the truth, right? Not all reviewers are straight and honest, so let influence come in from the items they like more than the everyday stuff that they sell. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. I get it. But it's just a question of honesty. On eBay, GT Sonic 2L ultrasonic cleaner, bath cleaning timer heating machine sells for £52, about $92 Canadian dollars. That's cool. Yeah, if I had a choice, I'd probably get something a little bit bigger. Unfortunately, the one I have is pretty small, because I figured it would be only some minor guitar parts in there, so I didn't want to spend too much money to get a big one. But if I had a choice, maybe I would have went a little bit larger, just in case I wanted to put something bigger in there. Thanks, Wade. I appreciate that, man. I'm going to start, just so you guys know, I've taken a little break from the lick of the day lessons because I've been busy with this Donner upgrade that I've been working on for you guys, but I'm going to go back to recording a few licks so I can share them with you as well. I've been spending a lot of time doing some other videos, so between shooting the videos, editing the videos, uploading the videos, all that stuff takes a lot of time. So, but I haven't forgotten about the lick of the day, so if you guys like those, I'll be sharing them soon again. One thing I wanted to say for the actual Donner Strat that I'm working on for my son, I actually reshaped the headstock. Finally, I don't want to spoil it for you because I have videos showing you everything, but I did actually go through the headstock reshape, so watch that video. Now I need to think of a name to put back on the headstock because I want to create a little logo for the guitar. It looks naked without it. So if you have any ideas for a cool guitar name, let me know, and I'm gonna try and create a decal for it and put it on there. And I thought it would be cool to have some input from you guys, and I know you guys are creative and have some cool ideas as well, so it's always interesting to see what you come up with, There was a couple of questions that I had from my past videos that I wanted to answer, and give a shout out to the people that are leaving the messages, because there's a lot of great comments. I had done a review on the vintage hollow body, which is the VSA 5535 CR. And I was comparing it to my Gibson 335, and some people were commenting that that guitar has been kind of discontinued. They're hard to get, and the new models are slightly different. So keep that in mind when you're watching the video. But basically, I had mentioned that there's a center block in that guitar, and that the center block was maple. But in actual fact, after doing some research, the block in the center is actually mahogany. So it has a slightly different tone to a Gibson, but still an awesome guitar. So if any of you are looking for like a semi-hollow body alternative for a Gibson, check out the vintage guitar stuff. They're great, man. And they're not that expensive. Also, when I had done the review on the Squier Contemporary series, so I have 2 of them now. Great guitars, by the way. I have a white one and a red one, and I was basically saying in the video that the neck feels really nice, and it's similar. I feel it's similar to the neck on a Charvel, but when I said that, I mean, I was talking about the shape of the neck, not necessarily the quality of the finish on the neck. I do feel that the Charvel necks are a step above in terms of quality and just attention to detail. The frets, the polishing, the rounding off of the frets, definitely a step above in the Charvel guitars, as opposed to the Squiers. I mean, look, you're talking about $1,000, $1,200 guitar as opposed to a $400 guitar. So definitely gonna be differences in quality there. I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks for the nice comment, Clay. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Fat Philosopher says, make me a lefty guitar to your specs. Which specs are you referring to? You mean what I like? Do I know the Fujian guitars? Yes, I do. I'm actually trying to get my hands on one. Very difficult. Very difficult. Maybe eventually I'll be able to do that. But right now it looks like everything's kind of died down. There's nothing shipping out anymore. The other thing I wanted to comment on was also the when I did the comparison of the Harley Benton Fusion T guitar, not the comparison but the review. Somebody had commented that I said that I felt the vibrations in the guitar, and I felt that the guitar was very alive. And somebody was commenting saying that feeling the vibrations is a sign of energy loss. So they were saying like the stronger the vibrations are felt, the lesser the quality of the guitar. And I don't think this is true. I mean, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me that makes no sense. Because basically that would mean like if you put a neck on a concrete block, you would get no vibrations coming through. And that would be more resonant. I don't know, man. Sometimes some of the comments I get are a little bit strange, and I have to like validate that information, but to me it doesn't make any sense. Alan says he thinks that we expect all guitars to be perfect. At the low price points, quality starts to end with the customers. Look, I don't expect guitars to be perfect, and I think that most of the time, especially on low-end guitars, I expect to have to do some work on them. I do. So, if you expect the guitar to be perfect right out of the box, then you have to buy something more expensive. Go with PRS, go with Sir, go with brands that have very high quality control. But if you're trying to get a guitar that's going to be perfect out of the box at about $200 or $400, you're going to be disappointed. It's very simple. But if you can do work on these guitars yourself, there's still no reason not to buy them. Can you do a video on tweaking and some pointers using the distortion pedal with the amp? Sure. Yeah, I can do that. Absolutely. Thank you, Tim, man. That's really nice. I really appreciate that, man. I agree that when it comes to sustain and the nuances between guitars and amplifiers, oftentimes the listener won't be able to tell the difference. Somebody was saying, we're talking about quality control and everything, and somebody was saying that the Harley Benton, they had ordered a Harley Benton Fusion T, and it arrived with some rusty strings on it, and he was surprised, and I'm surprised too. I don't think they would actually sell a guitar with rusty strings on it. The Squier Deluxe that I reviewed also in the past, I don't know if you've seen that guitar. I've presented it a few times, and I mentioned that it was great bang for the buck. You have to be careful with Squiers. Like, you don't want to go with the cheap Squiers. That guitar is a deluxe, which is a step above, in my opinion. But if you like a good quality guitar, well made, and good bang for the buck, that guitar is nice. The neck on the guitar is raw. I actually modified that neck, and I basically put some poly on it because it's a maple neck. It became slightly darker in terms of a tint, and it actually feels really nice. And a little bit of work went a long way with that guitar. So if you're looking for a good quality and expensive Strat, those are nice guitars if you can find one used. I don't know about speccing a lefty guitar, but I would go with, it depends what kind of guitar. You're talking about like a humbucker style guitar, Fat Philosopher? You're talking about a Strat style guitar? There's a lot of different types of guitars that I've been playing, and I like a lot of different ones. There's a Les Paul, what? Standard Strat neck, easier to play than Les Paul 60s neck. Average sized hands. If I had to compare the playability of a Strat to a Les Paul, I would say that Strats are easier to play. Just because there's less things to get in your way. It's mostly, not necessarily just the neck, but the body too. Generally, a Les Paul is a little bit more clunky in terms of the way it's designed. That doesn't mean I don't like them. But the guitar, I find that the Strat fits your body nicer. It actually can be tucked in a little bit closer, and I find it's a little bit easier to play, I would say, than a Les Paul, in my opinion. The strings are easier to bend on a Les Paul because of the flatter radius. But today, with the different radiuses that Fender's offering, I don't think they're offering radiuses that are as flat as a Les Paul. But you can definitely get something a little bit on the flatter side. If you're planning on doing a lot of bending, maybe the vintage style necks might not be the best for you. Fat Philosopher says that he's in the hunt for a fast shredder. Well, if budget's no option or no obstacle, try some of the Suhr guitars. Great value, great necks. The necks on those Suhr guitars are fantastic. Some of the most comfortable necks I've ever felt. If you prefer, Alan, if you prefer wide flat necks, then check out Ibanez guitars. You're not going to get wider or flatter than those. There's a lot of super flat necks that they offer, like the Wizard necks, super flat. They're not for me, but if you're looking for something that is flat, then that's the one. Well, guys, we're getting to 11:42. We've been talking for a heck of a long time. I think it's about time we wrap it up for today. If you have any last questions, we'll take a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. I've tried Ernie Ball guitars, Fat Philosopher, great guitars, honestly. Really well built guitars. Not cheap, but the necks feel really nice. I think it's the finish on the necks that they put. Ernie Ball necks tend to be like raw, in the sense that they don't. I think what they do is they apply gun stock finish on it, and then they just wax it, and they feel great. The only thing about Ernie Ball guitars, if I can give you some advice, is that I find that the one I had, which was sort of like was a Music Man, and it was the width at the neck, at the nut, was too narrow for my fingers. They tend to make the strings really narrow on the nut side, so I don't know if their new models are better, but that was the only reason I sold mine. I ended up selling it, but the guitar was fantastic. Definitely a step above other guitars that I've tried. I didn't try the Petrucci model. I'm not really a big fan of the shape of the body on that. It feels a little bit overdone in my opinion, but a lot of people do like that model as well. Adrian, stay healthy there in Austria as well, man. Hopefully this crazy time will blow over soon. Yeah, he's in Japan. Fat Philosopher's in Japan, and it's not as easy to get. Why don't you go for seriously, go for like a Japanese Tokai or something like that. Maybe you're not into the Les Paul style guitars, but there's a lot of great Japanese guitars out there from what I see. Yeah, Japan, I mean, it's always going to be a challenge to get stuff out there. What are some brands that are popular in Japan? Like, aren't there good guitar builders in there in Japan that will be able to create something that is looking more like the specs that you want? Narrow nut is always a bit of a challenge for me. I have my fingers are not the thinnest fingers, so yeah, if you're going to be playing at the top end of the fretboard, you definitely want to have a little bit more space. I definitely like, I mean, Fat Philosopher, if you're looking for something that is more of like a shredder type guitar, not too expensive, good build quality, try to find yourself a Charvel, man. They're great guitars. The new ones that have that don't have the Floyd, I think are going to be even better. Those look like pretty nice guitars. Ibanez, the new models of the Ibanez guitars too, probably would make a good shredder platform if that's what you're looking for. You probably would be able to get them in Japan, I assume. If you can't, you can definitely find them on Reverb or something like that. Take it easy, Bobs. Bob, you're going to be leaving us, so I guess definitely want to wish you healthy week to come. Stay safe. 5150 says my first guitar was a Yamaha and I struggled with it due to the narrow nut width. Yeah, that's the thing, man. And once that nut width is narrow, there's not much you can do with it. Really? Charvel only makes one lefty guitar? Interesting. I did not know that. I guess the fact that you're a lefty makes things harder for you as well. What about a custom built one? Why don't you just get yourself, excuse me, why don't you get yourself, try and get yourself a Charvel neck and put it on a lefty body? I will definitely do that. I'll create a video to show all of the guitars and amps in my collection. Absolutely. No problem. What strings are you using? Ernie Ball Hybrid Slinkies is usually my go-to string type that I use. Thank you, Glenn. Have a great week, man. I appreciate it. Fat Philosopher, why don't you try and see if you can get somebody that's in the States that you know to ship you a guitar over? You know, something like that maybe. Instead of scouring Japan. Oh, sorry about that, Bob. I thought you were leaving. I don't want to get rid of you, man. Stick around. And so the Harley Benton stuff you can't get. The Charvel stuff is hard to get in the lefties. What about lefty strats? I would honestly just take get a body that you can put two humbuckers in. A lot of the Squire bodies that are not that expensive, you can get with two humbuckers in them. You can get a Strat body made for you custom from Wormouth. If you haven't experimented with them, they will build you whatever you want. Good quality, not cheap, but for you it might be worthwhile. Have them build you a lefty body, maybe whatever shape you want. They have a variety of different shapes. They can route it however you want it. And you can buy a neck from them as well. They have a lot of different types of necks, and they'll build it custom for you. They'll build the profile of the neck, the frets, fret sizes, the hole spacings, everything. You can make them build it specifically to your specs and have them ship it over to you and then put it together, man. You're going to get a killer guitar, I'll tell you that much. He's in the hunt for someone who has a Sweetwater card. Unfortunately, I don't have one. I'm in Canada, so I don't buy stuff off Sweetwater. Can't help you there, man. Sorry. Idaho is the hardest place to buy a good potato. Yeah, no kidding. They're shipping them to us. I'm looking at a Lefty Ernie Ball JP model. I'm telling you, Fat Philosopher, go to Warmouth, check out their guitars. They don't actually sell guitars, only parts. I'm pretty sure they have a similar body to the Petrucci model, and you can get them to build you whatever you want. Just part it out, man. Make it custom. Build your guitar according to what you want. You can put in whatever pickups you want in there, and at the end of the day, man, you can have a killer guitar. All right, guys, I'm going to have to leave you. It's 11:51. I've been talking for almost 2 hours. Went a little bit long today. I guess we got sidetracked on a lot of topics, but I appreciate the chit-chat that you've brought to the table today. You always have great things to talk about, and I hope that everybody ends up getting the gear that they want, including Fat Philosopher. Keep us up to date on your searches. If I come across something cool in a left-handed model that you can get in Japan, I'll definitely tell you the next time around. But I would scour eBay, I would scour Reverb, and definitely check out Warmouth for any custom parts that you might need, because they definitely have great parts there as well. There's a couple of great builders on eBay as well, and I'll maybe make a list and tell you next time. Musicraft makes great necks. And I think they're also making bodies now. Check them out on eBay, and they'll probably be able to ship it to you in Japan. I'm not 100% sure, but check it out. So that's it, guys. I'm going to leave you now. I got to get the rest of the day underway. Please stay safe, stay healthy. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Big thumbs up to everyone out there today. Great conversations as usual. There's going to be more videos that are coming out. There's going to be one coming out today on the Donner build project. I got to get cracking on that because my son's going to be on my back to get that finished, because he wants his guitar back. So I have to do some work on that, maybe possibly today, and record a few more videos for you guys as well. So please stay tuned, because there's a lot more stuff coming, all right? Appreciate it, guys. Talk to you soon. Have a great afternoon. Till next Sunday. We'll speak again really shortly. All right? Take care, guys. Peace out.